All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a 30-day challenge that looks stupidly simple on the surface, but as you'll see, it quickly turns into a brutal, humbling battle with gravity. We're going to break down the experience of a fitness creator known as Yellow Dude, who made the decision to just grab a pull-up bar and hang there every single day for an entire month. Now, that sounds incredibly easy, right? Well, just wait until you see the reality of what this actually does to the human body.
You know what's really fascinating about this whole experiment? It was actually some classic fatherly wisdom that pushed him into action in the first place. Initially, he was pretty arrogant about the whole idea. I mean, the guy does pull-ups regularly. He's definitely not new to the gym, so he genuinely thought a 60-second dead hang would be a complete joke. But his father had always told him, hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. And naturally, he couldn't just walk away from something he thought was too easy without proving it to himself first.
So, lured in by all this intriguing internet hype, people constantly claiming online that simply dangling from a bar could fix the hunched posture of a desk-bound gremlin, decompress your spine, and maybe even fundamentally change your life, he decided to put it to the ultimate test. He wanted to know, was it all just noise, or does this incredibly simple movement actually work? He set out to do it for 30 days straight, nothing fancy, just hanging, to find out exactly what would happen.
While that confident 60-second expectation, it instantly smashed into a brick wall of physical reality. 13 seconds. That's it. On his very first attempt, he was literally laughing at his timer, feeling totally confident until his grip completely betrayed him. He actually noted that time just seemed to slow down, while his forearms started absolutely screaming. He had to drop it just 13 seconds, with his arms shaking like he just banged out 1,000 bicep curls. He instantly realized, oh wow, this is going to be a lot harder than it looked.
Those first 3 days were just a complete trough of sorrow. He was totally stuck at the 10 to 15-second mark. His brain was screaming at him to hang on, but his body was just done. We are talking about raw skin thickening up in these weird, painful spots on his hands and shoulders that were sore and stiff in completely unexpected ways. Just 3 days in, he was already starting to question everything, wondering if he was just inherently weak or if there was something seriously wrong with his approach.
And this brings us to a massive turning point. He made a really simple equipment change, swapping out a thick, rough bar for a thinner, smoother one. It turned out the old thick bar was actively working against him. His fingers literally couldn't wrap around it fully, so he was losing the mechanical fight before the clock even started. The new thinner bar still felt tough, obviously, but his grip actually held. By making that switch, he stopped fighting his own setup and finally gave himself a fighting chance.
Boom! Just like that, this one tiny, incredibly smart adjustment bumped his hang time up to a solid, manageable 35 seconds. His breathing stayed steady, his hands weren't instantly slipping off the metal, and he wasn't constantly bracing for failure right from second one. It's such a great lesson for us, right? When you're trying to learn a new skill, sometimes it's not about just trying harder and gritting your teeth, it's about making the right adjustment so the work actually becomes doable.
Now, even with the new bar, his hands were absolutely fried, and his recovery felt really sluggish. To help with this, but without adding all those messy powders and shaker bottles to his daily desk routine, he turned to creatine gummies, specifically a brand called Tasty Gains. He just chewed 3 of these slightly gritty, candy-like gummies every day to hit a target of 3 grams of creatine monohydrate. And you know what? By day 12, it noticeably smoothed out his recovery. His grip held longer, and he wasn't dragging nearly as much between sessions.
So he's making progress, right? But he was still slipping right around the 40-second mark. Then, he analyzed a mid-hang photo he took of himself, and that led to a really precise 3-step grip fix. He realized he was basically only hanging by his fingers. So, he fixed it. Step 1, full hand completely wrapped around the bar. Step 2, knuckles pointing slightly upward. And Step 3, balanced pressure across the palm and fingers. The difference was night and day. He felt completely locked into the bar. And strangely enough, it even made his regular pull-ups feel remarkably smoother.
But then, of course, a new enemy appeared, the mental grind. As you can probably imagine, staring at a blank wall while your arms scream at you is mind-numbingly boring. His brain would just completely check out halfway through every single hang. There are no cool moves here, no excitement. Yet, he kept showing up. Why? Because the physical benefits were sneaking in when he wasn't looking. He actually caught himself standing taller. His shoulders were naturally sitting back, his back felt open, and his wrists literally stopped hurting during other exercises. Those undeniable physical results pushed him right through the boredom.
Which brings us to day 10, the plot twist.
Right when things were starting to feel steady and a bit predictable, he was casually scrolling through a tutorial video online and realized he'd been missing the fundamental biomechanics entirely. He'd been doing a relaxed, dangling passive hang with zero shoulder engagement or lat activation. The tutorial showed him the active hang instead, where your shoulders are locked down, your lats are fiercely activated, and your core is super tight. Let me tell you, it is a completely different, highly engaged beast of a movement.
So right then and there, he switched his form to that proper active hang. And the result? It felt like someone literally turned up the gravity in the room. His time embarrassingly plummeted right back down to a miserable 20 seconds. Everything burned. The bar felt infinitely heavier. His ego completely tanked harder than his hang time did. It felt like walking backward, sure, but crucially, he finally knew what the real work was actually supposed to feel like.
You can really see the classic fitness hero's journey playing out here. From that initial, humbling reality check of 13 seconds, to the smart equipment fix that boosted him up to 35 seconds, then that devastating but highly necessary form reset back down to 20 seconds, and then, finally, the steady climb to ultimate victory. It's just a perfect reminder that progress is almost never a straight line upward. But you know, that steady, humbling build-up eventually led to the ultimate breakthrough. It finally just clicked. He got up on the bar, set his grip firmly, engaged his lats, locked his core, and smoothly passed that 60-second mark without a single ounce of panic or struggle. The usual urge to just quit? It was quiet. His breathing stayed remarkably steady. And the best part? He stepped down not because his grip failed, but because he chose to. It felt clean, solid, and 100% earned through sweat and consistency.
And there was absolutely no stopping there. This is what's so amazing about human adaptation. Eventually, he was effortlessly pushing up to 2 full minutes, 120 seconds. It no longer felt like he was battling the bar for his life. It felt like he just belonged up there. He actually described feeling like his back was longer and lighter, almost as if he had magically added a few extra vertebrae to his spine. The dead hangs were no longer this daunting daily challenge. They just became a natural, expected part of his routine.
So, let's look at the actual payoff from this daily grind at the end of the month. He was walking taller, his pull-ups were smoother, his grip was insanely strong, he was even sleeping better, and all of his previous shoulder complaints completely vanished. He proved without a doubt that daily consistency with a single, highly focused movement can literally reshape how you move, how you feel, and even how your body rests.
Now, the hilarious anticlimax to all of this, discovering how actual serious climbers train. He stumbled upon this concept called max hang training, where grip athletes hang by just their fingers on tiny, microscopic edges to build insane strength in a fraction of the time. Reading about that made his 30 days of full-bar whole-hand agony look like absolute child's play. It just goes to show there is always, always a bigger fish in the fitness pond.
But at the end of the day, it was 100% worth it. Whether you choose active or passive hangs, I want to leave you with this thought. Hanging on a bar for 60 seconds every single day might be incredibly boring, but you know what's infinitely more boring and painful? A lifetime of bad posture, nagging shoulder injuries, and just being physically weak. So which boring are you going to pick? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I seriously challenge you to try it out and see what 30 days can do for you.